Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Super Mike with SuperGaming here. Just want to say before we get into this video, thank you so much for all the love and support over on my YouTube and my Twitch channel. I absolutely appreciate it so much. I also wanted to mention that about currently 67% of all you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, click the subscribe button. I post content on the daily. Right before we get into the video, just wanted to mention all links and timestamps are in the description down below. So if you want to cut ahead to a specific part of the video, go ahead and check those out. All right, let's get to it. So, the reason you clicked on this video is because you want to learn how to play ADC, also known as attack damage carry role, or duo lane carry for my conquest peeps out there. You want to learn all the intricacies of the role, the nuances that turn a game, how difficult it is to snowball, when to rotate, how to lead targets, solo go theories, push fire giants, and push to get distant tower damage. I'm just kidding, you want to know how to go bing big damage! You want to pub stop news with your MLG sniping montage clips. You want to crush those supports with a rain of fire straight from the eternal depths of hell where those Khumba mains belong. You want to obliterate all the junglers that gank you at the 4-minute mark, then steal your camps as you spectate your support to struggle to clear lane. Alright, all jokes and gripes aside, first let me show you what it's like to play ADC. God, my back hurts from carrying the weight of my entire team. You stole my kill? I'm carried! Yeah, laugh it up now, but just wait till endgame.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, I need wave or I won't snowball. Yeah, I definitely earned that one. Watch this. This one's from my montage. Yeah, I think my sensitivity is off or something. I just can't seem to hit a shot. Yeah, it's definitely, maybe it's my DPI in my mouse. Yeah, I think it's my DPI in my mouse. Yeah, just another average game, I guess. Okay, well, if that looked like the role that you want to main, then let's start with a tier list of all the ADCs for the current meta. And keep in mind, ADC can both be magical and physical gods, and in some cases, magical gods will outperform physical gods. So there are two types of carries, and the first one is AA based or auto attack based gods, and the second one is ability based carries, at which some gods are capable of both playstyles but can't maximize either build as they will sacrifice one element or another. For AA guys, they rely on consistent damage through stim abilities which provide AA buffs. These include lifesteal buffs, some even provide scaling, movement, while others provide on-hit slows. These guys also do not rely heavily on their kit as much as they will not be building heavy flat pen, but instead will be focusing on capping auto speed attacks and using item utilization to make the most of their kit instead. For ability based gods, they rely on abilities to clear waves effectively, provide medium CC to set up team fights and potentially secure kills. In this case, AA will be Hunter's classification if their kit relies heavily on stims, or if their builds are more successful with AA items, and ability based if their kit relies on damaging abilities excluding the ultimate, or if their kit is more successful building pen into their kit. So now I'll be doing a quick rundown of all these hunter classifications such as AA, ability based, and mixed. I'm going to do a quick rundown of who falls into what category, and keep in mind this is only opinion based. For AA I have Artemis, Chronos, Heimdallr, Apollo, Anhur, Jing Wei, Rama, Xbalanque. For ability base I have Muzen Cab, Cupid, Chernobog, Chiron, Medusa, Neith, and Hachiman. For mixed I have Freya, Chronos, Olorun, Hou Yi, Izanami, Skadi, and Ullr. Once again, these are opinion-based classifications, but in the description there will be timestamps as to exactly where each of these individual gods will be ranked. Alright, so now we're in the point of the video where you're probably most interested in, and that's going to be the tier list for the gods of 2020 Season 7, right? So what's going to end up happening is start off with AA gods as auto attack gods, and then we're going to roll into how this tier list is formatted, and that's going to be SS, A, B, C, F. And the reason why is because SS is like god tier is essentially like, you know, hey, these are the gods that are insanely strong in the meta right now. They're top picks in esports, very consistent picks, a pick that may put you at a really high advantage in game. Next, we have A tier. A tier is essentially just gods that are performing currently pretty well in the meta. They're doing, you know, all right. Maybe they're not ban worthy like SS tier, but they're definitely solid picks in terms of your team composition. Next, we have B tier. B tier is just middle line average. Average is exactly how it sounds. They do okay in most situations. Then we have C tier. C tier is where we finally take a big dip. C tier, if any of these gods are inside C tier, essentially they took a big hit, big nerf somewhere along the lines, whether it be from their kit, itemization, just in general, the meta constantly changing in and out in season 7. That's where they ended up landing. F tier. F tier is the absolute opposite, is the epitome of Smite. You do not want to play these characters. You're at a severe disadvantage, and normally you will get outlaned, outpoked, and just overall not have as easy of a time complementing your team's comp in season 7. All right, so we're starting off the tier list with Artemis, and I just want to mention that all these are my opinions, so if you ever have a different opinion, go ahead, post in the comments below what you think about where I place these gods, if you have any issues, and why you think I may be wrong, maybe why I'm right, etc. So once again, Artemis is the first pick, and she to me is F tier. I do not feel like she honestly is very good in 1v1 laning. Yeah, of course, you know, she has a really nice ult, which is really good for stun chains and popping periods left and right, but in other cases I feel like she just gets out traded. Those thorns on the ground just don't seem like they're honestly that useful. That's pretty much a lackluster, you know, damage ability. Probably the lowest CC that you can even think of. Her CC on her 3 from the rain of arrows is honestly pretty solid, but that's about it. It just slows people down, does a little bit of damage, and she really doesn't have anything to actually properly clear wave inside of her kit, unlike these other guys that I'll be mentioning today. All right, so we're a little bit out of order here, but the next guy's gonna end up being Anhur, and I think Anhur is B tier. I think right now he's doing pretty good in the meta. He's not, you know, insanely OP in my eyes. He has a really solid lane clearing ability with his 2, but his passive, while providing those, you know, 20 protections or 20 protection debuff in the beginning, is really solid. I feel like his escape is just a little bit too slow. In most cases, I feel like, you know, you can get hard CC'd in the middle of the leap, and that's really about it. And it's kind of hard to land as well. So overall, B tier. Next guy's gonna end up being an Apollo, and Apollo to me is A tier. I think the fact that every 10 basic attacks you get 5 basic attacks at 100% more speed is just insanely good. Plus his 1 is really solid for lane clearing, even early on. Not even to mention that his escape providing, you know, all kinds of different things such as protection. He has the mez. He has a very easy time escaping so long as, you know, your teammates don't interfere with interrupting a mez on someone. Overall, A tier, very solid pick for this current meta. Next on the list, we have Chernobog, and Chronos, we can find him, he's right here. To me is C tier. We're kind of going down a little line right here, but the reason why I think Chronos is C tier is because I just do not think that his lane clearing is exactly where it needs to be, especially when you have all these other guys like Apollo, who has a very, very hard hitting 1 pretty early on, able to, you know, half hit practically wave in the beginning of the game. Then you have Chronos, who basically slaps it down, hits only a circle radius on first minion hit, and then does tick damage over time. Yes, of course, you know, these guys can, you know, clear wave, you know, well into the future, but we're talking about also early game, where most of that time that you spend should be farming, should be clearing wave, and you want to be able to outpoke, you know, your enemy, and Chronos just simply doesn't have it. Plus, on top of that, his escape is really not that good. It's a very short range dash, and I think for most players, picking Chronos is just not a good enough pick in this meta, because you'll probably be outboxed by the time you clear wave. All right, next we have Jing Wei, and Jing Wei is easily SS. Currently inside of the esports scene, she is just being picked left and right, and honestly, it doesn't even surprise me. With the current meta using high pen, high attack speed, it works so well with her kit. Plus the ability to hop in, hop out of a fight. There's a knock up in her kit, a long range dash in her kit. She has basically free crit chance using her 2. Just everything about Jing Wei just complements the current meta, and she is an easily probably first pick ban when it comes to any kind of carry, and it's very understandable why. The ability to just literally dip, buy an item, and basically have the equivalent of a free teleport glyph inside of a conquest match is insane. Easily SS. Let's move on to the next god. Now, this next pick, I might get a little bit of flack on it, but it's going to end up being Xbalanque. If we can quickly go ahead and find him. Xbalanque, to me, is also A tier, just like Apollo. And the reason why is because I think his passive allows you to really have a steady, you know, carry-esque play style. He's able to get, you know, 5 more power for every kill he ends up getting, all the way up until 30, which means you can pretty much have incredible snowball potential. And when you think about it, this means he gets free 30 power. That's practically free boots right there. Imagine if you're able to just steamroll. Now you can use those, you know, now you have enough power for all kinds of other things. Maybe you can just roll into more attack speed at that point. Maybe go into more pen. He's honestly an incredible character with great utilization when it comes to his ult. His ult can really set up a team fight, really help your team also to escape. Maybe you got someone in the jungle, he's getting ganked, you pop up your ult, he has about 5 seconds to easily just choose wherever he wants to go. Maybe he can, you know, outrun them, juke them, whatever. The ability to not be able to see what you're doing instead of limited cone range is just way too good, and to me, Xbalanque is easily A tier. Next on the list is going to end up being Heimdallr. Heimdallr, easy pick. Whoops, my bad. That's going to be double S right there, and the reason being is because not only is he a high pick inside the esports series, but also he has an incredible passive that pretty much the more sight he has on enemies, he gets 2% more physical power just for having that. So 2% times 5, right? 5 enemies, that's 10% more physical power, which is absolutely insane. Plus, he has the ability with the Bifrost, which is 3, essentially just to teleport across the map and also provide vision for any enemy that passes over that line. So essentially, he's just an insanely good character, not to mention that his basic attack chain is a 1.3, 1.3, 1.5. Plus, the first two 1.3s are cleaves, and stacked up with his 2, he can easily clear minions super well with high physical power and hit you with a 1.5 on a singular shot. That's almost a crit level in his base kit, just in his basic attack chain. Heimdallr, cannot recommend him enough. He's insanely good, easy ban. And our last AA god is going to be Rama. Rama is easily double S. I'm not going to go into super in depth about this guy, but let's just say his 1 has an incredible clear. He has a stim inside of his 2. His 3 is omnidirectional. He's a sniping ult that can easily secure kills across the map. There's a reason why he's SS, and honestly, with the meta right now, with these items with high pen, high attack speed, he can easily outtrade you with that stim and also outlane you just by clearing wave with his 1. Solid pick, definitely try him out. He might be the character for you. Okay, so now we're finally on to the ability-based gods, and our first one's gonna be Muzen Cab, and honestly, this one was really difficult for me to choose. He's somewhere to me between B and C tier, but I'm gonna throw him in B. You know, I have respect for the fact that I do really like this god. Issue is, he's average. He doesn't really excel at anything, and honestly, the mobility inside of his hives is really nice, but it's not a solid escape. And when you look at it, most of these other gods that are in these top tiers have something to either immediately get back into the fight, have a really solid escape mechanism, something he doesn't have, or insanely good lane clearing, which is something he has. His lane clearing is really good, and you know, his 1 with the hives provides a lot of utility between the attack speed, the movement speed, the passive heals. All of it's incredibly nice, but he's insanely dependent on it on enemies not poking it out. And when it comes down to it, they're very easy to find and just destroy because they take 1 basic attack. So I'm gonna throw him in the average tier, solid okay pick, but he's definitely not to me A or double S tier at all in the current meta. Next on the list we have Chernobog, and Chernobog is easily A tier for me. The ult is absolutely incredible. It's a global ult, albeit, you know, a little bit predictable. You can know where he's probably gonna land next to someone who's really weak, but the fact that his dash actually provides immunity frames so long as you go into a wall, and he has really solid pokes and lane clears, means he's definitely up there on the list and is probably a very solid pick for most people. Up next on the list is going to be Chiron. Chiron is incredible. He's easily A tier for me. His dash lasts forever, very solid, knocks people up and out of the way, as well as doing a decent amount of damage. His 2, absolutely incredible. Pretty much if you land 1 basic attack or land your 1 on an enemy, it'll mark them. You can send flying arrow that guarantees a hit, does a lot of good damage, but can easily secure a kill in most cases. His 1 also incredible, provides CC immunity to teammates as well as doing an area effect damage, which is actually really solid with a small delay. His ultimate, incredible. The damage is absolutely insane. Does 930 damage at level 5 with 180% power scaling, which is absurd, as well as the fact that you could literally be dead. You can already be, you know, 0 health, but you can continue using that ability, which means you might be able to secure a kill before you end up leaving. Very solid pick, easily A tier. Up next on our list is a little bit of a questionable pick, but that's gonna be Cupid at SS. Now hear me out. He's easily definitely a top pick inside the esports series. Why is he the top pick inside the esports series? Because he provides okay sustain, but at the same time, he does not lose mana for giving that sustain so long as he's not the one picking up the hearts. He has an attack speed stim on his dash, which his dash is almost instantaneous. It's incredibly fast and also leaves a haste trail for your teammates. Not to mention, his lane clearing is very solid, and he has the ability to potentially stun an enemy with that lane clear, aka his 1, and his 1 is a massive area effect and can easily turn the tide of battle when it comes to a team fight. So there's a lot of utility in his kits. He has the stems. He's definitely working well with the meta currently, and he doesn't really need a ton of mana because he gets a lot of mana back just by pushing out his little hearts of love and basically supporting his team. So very solid pick. If you pick him up, he's probably not quite ban worthy, but he's definitely up there if he's not banned to pick. Next on the list, we have Hachiman. Hachiman to me is A tier. He has very solid mobility with his dash, which actually provides also a little bit of damage. And he also has a really solid ability being his ultimate for escape, as he rides a horse at like some crazy movement speed that I don't quite remember the exact numbers right now. The only thing is, the only reason why he's not quite SS, and the reason being is because his 1, which is really nice, gives you extended basic attacks, kind of similar to Rom's, but it does not go through waves. which kind of sucks because that's the only reason why he's actually not SS, is because while his clear is okay and he's good at securing kills, he doesn't have insanely good laning when it comes to 1v1 laning early on. Let's say your support pulls off very quick to mid lane for all you know, I don't know. You know, every conquest game is a little bit different. Let's say he pulls off from dual lane, now you got 1v1 because maybe the other support also pulled off. He's probably going to end up losing that engagement because he really relies on hitting basic attacks for his passive, providing MP5 to stay in lane in the first place. Next on the list, we have Medusa. Medusa to me is B tier. Really not much to say here. She has really good, you know, wave clear, but that's really about it. She kind of falls off due to the meta being really focused on attack speed and high penetration, even though in her case, you know, she does want that high penetration. She usually on average wants more flat pen for her abilities, as she is like very strictly ability based, but overall B tier. Last ability based hunter, and that's going to end up being Neith. Neith is B tier. She performs average. She has decent lane clearing, but when it comes down to it, you're able to root someone. You don't disarm them, you don't cripple them, so they can still pull out of that route. You can still get hit by their shots if it's another hunter, and her heals inside of her kit fall off late game due to anti-heals being so predominant inside this game now, because Hirez is throwing anti-heals in just about every single category for hunters, guardians, auras, you know, left and right anti-heals, so it's very easy to counter that later on. All right, next category is gonna be mixed gods. This could be mages, or these could be gods that just kind of follow into neither niche of ability or auto attack, but can kind of complement both sides of the spectrum. The first one's going to end up being Freya. Freya easily SS. She's absolutely killing it. Ring of Hecate is insanely overpowered right now, and in that instance, even with the nerf with Ring of Hecate, she is just absolutely killing the game when it comes to it. Also, I'm going to throw in quickly Olorun. Olorun's in the same category, except inside of his base kit, he can also crit. And this man, oh my god, he needs a nerf. He's been absolutely insane to play against in ranked, casual, assault. It doesn't even matter. Any kind of game you can think of, if you play Olorun, you're gonna do good. Next on the list, we have Hou Yi. Hou Yi easily deserves double S tier. He's looking really good inside the esports scene. He has really solid 1v1 laning, and also he can clear lane early on pretty well. His 2, Mark of the Golden Crow, you know, providing more damage to a target is always good at all stages inside the game. And I don't remember, but it looks like for every 10% missing health, it actually increases inside of damage, which means the lower the health of the target, the more damage you're end up doing, which is even better for trading, especially when you combine it with high attack speed or even potentially crits. Crits usually used to be a really good thing when it comes to Hou Yi. Now it looks like it might even be better. In general, for the meta, he's looking really solid. Next on the list is the man, the myth, the legend. That's gonna be Ullr. Easily double S. I don't think this man will ever come off from double S. The meta can probably be whatever, but the fact that he can absolutely spam so many abilities while being insanely aggressive. He has a lane clear, he has a stun, he has a movement speed buff, he has just everything you want inside of a god. And even the snipe, oh my god, that snipe, when you hit that thing, does so much damage. This man, he is just easily double S tier. I don't need to explain any further. Alright, so the next god's going to end up being Soul. Soul's an easy A tier class mage, and the reason being is because she has really good poke, decent sustain, she has invincibility frames, and she has a knockup on her 4, providing a lot of utility for her teammates, but also the poke when it comes to laning in 1v1 is really easy. Not to mention that she's also kind of an interchangeable mage. She can easily go mid, or she can be, you know, part of the duo lane if she really wanted to. Next on the list, we have Skadi. Skadi's a pretty easy B tier. She plays overall pretty average. The reason why she lands in the B tier as average is because she does not have a solid escape. She does have permafrost, which is able to disperse different enemies, you know, by messing up their movement speed, and you gain also about upwards of 30% movement speed if you walk through it at level 5. It's just not enough, you know. Even when it comes down to like someone like Artemis who's F tier, at least, you know, her attack speed stim also provides a really solid movement speed buff. In Sky's case, it doesn't, but when it also comes down to the reason why she's average is because she's really good at trading, and she also has a solid distraction when it comes to Calder, her dog. Not even to mention that her lane clear is definitely up there. She can definitely you know, dish out a lot of easy poke damage, which is definitely good, but she just lacks some utility inside of her kit that I think doesn't really push her up to A tier when it comes to like all the people above her, such as Soul with the invincibility frames, Hachiman with his dash and his ult, Chiron with the longest dash in the world, you know, Chernobog with invincibility frames inside of the dash, Xbalanque with his very safe, you know, CC immune dash, or even Apollo, who ends up getting protections and has a mess in his kit. Next on the list, we have Chronos. Chronos is easy B tier, reason being he does not shine as bright as someone like Freya or Olorun. He does not have a solid escape inside of his kit. While his ult is very useful and it can definitely make some serious plays, it has a very long windup and a very long cooldown. And yes, he can, clear lane pretty easy, but he does not make the best utilization out of all the items that are currently meta for mage ADCs. The last god to go be Izanami. Izanami is an easy C tier. Her basic attacks are just simply a little bit too clunky for the newer average player. I'm not saying that at high level play she's bad, but when it comes down to it, she definitely requires you to have her one active most of the time to have very consistent DPS. Yes, it's a nice buff. Yes, she has okay, lane clear, but also her escape is kind of bad. It's a slow leap. It does turn you invisible, but it doesn't go through objects, and it's relatively predictable, putting her at C tier for me. So now you know who's meta and why they are meta. Does this really matter though? Not really. In most cases, choosing someone that you find is fun is what's most important. For me, that's Xbalanque and Medusa. For you, maybe that's Artemis. I might make fun of you for choosing an F tier pick, but if you play your role, play it well, that's a big thumbs up in my book. Now we're on to the part where things start getting more complicated, but here's a quick step guide on how to build your hunter. If you're an AA god, step 1, build Atlantis bow. Step 2, enemy team surrenders at 10 minutes because that item's broken to shit. If you're an ability based god, step 1, fuck your main, play Freya. Step 2, fight Ring of Hagade. Step 3, no fucking clue. But step 4, Groff it. The meta is broken as of right now. If you don't play a god who's either AA or a mage with auto attacks that feels like you're getting hit by cannons, you're in a losing battle. And for the rest of your game, you're probably gonna feel like hitting F6 at 10 minutes isn't such a bad idea. There is a reason why there's a meta right now, and it isn't because a god's broken, but instead items are currently broken. Even with massive nerfs on some of the most top tier items that have come out recently, there is still a no-brainer in almost any situation. As for legitimate builds, I'll post them on the screen with at least 2 meta builds for AA gods and ability based gods to give you an idea of where you should start out when it comes to building these items. I'll go more in depth on each item, but if you were to slap these builds on just about any ADC, you'll find more success likely than not, with the exception of some situational anti-heal items that I haven't included in the builds. Alright, go ahead, pause the screen if you have to. I'm not going to go every single one of these items, the reason being I'll make the video way too long, and once again, these items are subject to change. They are broken in the meta right now. So go ahead, take these items, plug them into your god builder on your carry, whoever your carry main is. This way the items are at the ready and you kind of got a good idea of what's good in the meta right now. Now let's move on to some conquest tips to help you understand what you should do and when. So the very first thing you want to do in every single conquest game is definitely spam that VGS with good luck, have fun. This way you get your team a nice little boost of morale. Next, remind your support to place a high ward or war by jungle camps to see enemy rotations. Then you immediately want to go for purple void camp, as this will do a ton of things for you. Firstly, it removes enemies' protections on basic hits. Then it allows minions to prioritize other targets besides yourself, which means you get to do more bink damage to the enemy. Now comes the fun. For 10 minutes, you get to enjoy farming wave, cause Jesus, this game is fucking boring. Of course, you might get a close call here and there, and maybe the enemy jungle will rotate and triple team butt plug you, but maybe if you work properly, you'll be Gucci. If you truly want to snowball as a carry, much like the solo lane, you want your opponent to miss out as much XP as possible. To do this, get them low enough to back and miss wave. In this case, you will prioritize wave and be the entire wave's worth of XP over the enemy. After you get wave, steal their buff first if possible. Then go for the XP camp if you haven't already. So let's say you're around the 10-minute mark or closing in on it. Ward off the Golden Fury and watch your teams rotates. It's common for a team to wipe solo lane, then mid lane, then follow through with Golden Fury. So help the team by warding it off or even centering it off if possible. Another side tip is getting Oracle by Fury, as it will provide free vision to the Golden Fury, but can't be destroyed unlike every other ward. Now this applies to the end game, but for the Fire Giant, since the Fire Giant is the end all be all for buffs in this game, it allows whatever team to have a significant damage bonus, health regen, but also increases your tower damage and even gives you more damage to enemy towers. Now something a lot of people as carry struggle with is with rotates, and here I have a couple tips to help you when you should and shouldn't rotate, but keep in mind these are common situations and these aren't specific to anyone. Alright, so tip number 1 is expect your support to rotate. This doesn't always mean you have to rotate with them unless your support calls for a mid gank. Tip number 2, don't rotate when there's a solo lane team fight. In most cases, you'll not gain a significant amount of XP as it takes a long time to get there, and more than likely you'll miss out on the XP compared to the XP from wave. Tip number 3, tower damage is pressure. If you have the opportunity to push tower, take it. The gold increase is significant for the entire team when securing a tower, so damage is priority. Tip number 4, don't rotate if you don't know where the enemy team is. Vision is intelligence in this game, and no wards means you have no idea where everyone is, and that means there is no way to safely rotate. Tip number 5, no escape, no rotate. Do not want to be caught with the equivalent of no backup plan. If your rotate goes wrong, you have no way out, relics just won't cut it. Tip number 6 is a question. Is your combined health pool lower than one ult from an enemy? If so, don't rotate. This could mean you have a snowballing enemy team, and if there are multiple ults that they have saved up that can one-shot you, your consistent DPS won't cut it, and you will end up losing that engagement. Tip number 7, rotate if you know the enemy team is rotating. This one can save a friend, a tower, a ton of gold, an objective. If you're spam that VF1 or VFF, it doesn't matter. Don't let the enemy catch your mid lane off guard, especially since jungle already goes for ganks. Now imagine a 4v1 out of nowhere, no wards placed in short mid. It's free kills at that point. Save your teammate. Alright guys, so I saved the best tip last, and that's going to end up being tip number 8, and that's going to be own your lane and help others push. If your lane's killing it, minions are pushed up, towers are down, life is good, XP is high, rotate and help your weakest lane, but only if your team can make a quick rotate too. This one's incredibly important as it will allow you to apply a ton of pressure to the enemy and more than likely secure the dub. Alright, yeah, that's already the end of the video. I hope you guys liked watching the video. I hope you guys learned something new. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below. If you haven't subbed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. I post videos like this all the time. You can actually check out my recent uploads and also the YouTube recommended uploads at the outro screen. If you guys have any extra tips that'll help other people who are new to the carry role that maybe I forgot, post those in the comments below. And right before I go, I just want to ask one quick question. Who is currently your favorite hunter? Meta, non-meta, doesn't matter. I want to put out there, mine's Medusa. Absolutely love her. She's in kind of a mid spot, you know, but I absolutely love her. I think she's super fun. Well, I'm about to get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day, and peace.